Welcome. Come in. Come in from the cold. Shake the rain from your coat. Leave your umbrella by the door. You won't be needing it for a long, long time. Step out of the gray, foggy chill of the London streets and into the warmth, into the golden light of the sanctuary. You have arrived. You are here, and you are safe. Take a moment to just stand here, right here in the entryway, and feel the transition. Close your eyes for a moment and listen. Behind you, beyond that heavy oak door, the world is wet and cold. The wind is whipping through the cobblestone alleys, and the gas lamps are flickering in the mist. It is a night for ghosts and for shadows. But in here the air is still. In here the air is warm. Breathe it in. Can you smell it? That rich, comforting scent that only exists in rooms like this. It is the smell of old paper, of leather bindings that have been handled by 1,000 careful hands, of polished mahogany wood, and the faint, sweet trace of pipe tobacco from years gone by. It is a scent that smells like history. It smells like peace. Come further into the room. Let me take your burden. Let the weight of the day, the weight of the week, just slide off your shoulders like a heavy coat falling to the floor. You don't need to carry it anymore. Not tonight. Tonight, your only task is to rest.
Look around you. The room is bathed in the soft amber glow of the fireplace. The hearth is wide and stone, and the fire within it is strong. Watch the flames for a moment, dancing, curling, snapping softly as they consume the wood. The orange light washes over the walls, chasing away the dark corners, painting everything in hues of gold and copper. Do you see the curtains? Look at the windows. Those heavy, crushed velvet curtains, a deep midnight blue, they have been drawn tight. They are thick, heavy fabric, designed to keep the world out. They are a barrier between you and the storm. Whatever is happening out there, whatever worries, whatever noise, whatever chaos is rushing through the streets of the city, it stops at those curtains. It cannot get in. The glass may rattle slightly with the wind, but the velvet absorbs it all, turning the storm into nothing more than a gentle, rhythmic lullaby. The room is filled with silence, but it is not an empty silence. It is a heavy, comfortable silence. It is the silence of a library after hours. Look at the air itself. In the beams of light coming from the fire, you can see the dust motes dancing, tiny golden specks, floating, drifting, suspended in the air. They move so slowly, catching the light, turning and twisting in the warmth rising from the hearth. They are in no rush, and neither are you. Watch them float, up and down, drifting on currents of warm air that you cannot feel. They are a reminder that time moves differently in this room. Time slows down here. The ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner is not counting away the seconds of your life. It is merely a heartbeat, a steady, slow, mechanical heartbeat that says, all is well, all is well, all is well. There is a chair waiting for you. It is your chair, a large wingback armchair upholstered in soft, worn leather that has softened over decades to feel like silk against the skin.
It is positioned perfectly, close enough to the fire to feel the heat on your face and hands, but far enough away to be gentle. Go to it. Sit.
Sink into it. Feel the cushion give way under your weight, holding you, supporting you. Let the chair take the weight of your legs, your hips, your back. Let your head fall back against the headrest. Adjust the blanket that lies across the armrest. Pull it up over your legs. It is thick wool, soft and heavy. Tuck it in around you. Create a cocoon of warmth. Now, let us turn our attention to you, to your body. You are safe here. The doors are locked, the curtains are drawn, the fire is lit. There is nothing you need to do. There is nowhere you need to be. The world has stopped turning for tonight. Start with your eyes. They feel heavy, don't they? The warmth of the room is pressing gently against your eyelids. Let them close. If they are already closed, let them soften. Smooth out the tiny muscles around the corners of your eyes. Let your brow unfurrow. Imagine a warm hand gently smoothing across your forehead, wiping away the lines of concentration, wiping away the frown. Let your jaw unhinge slightly. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. We hold so much tension there, in the jaw, in the face. Let it go. Let your face become a blank canvas of relaxation. Feel that relaxation flow down like warm honey down your neck into your shoulders. Drop your shoulders. Drop them away from your ears. Let them sink 2 inches lower. Feel the tension melting out of your trapezius muscles, dissolving into the leather of the chair. Down into your arms, your elbows, your wrists. Your hands are resting in your lap or on the arms of the chair. Let your fingers curl naturally. They are loose. They are heavy. Feel the warmth of the fire radiating towards you. It penetrates your clothes, warming your skin, warming your muscles, warming your very bones. It is a healing heat. It drives out the dampness of the London rain. It drives out the chill of the day. Your chest rises and falls, rises and falls. Do not force your breath. Just watch it. Like the dust motes in the light, your breath is slow and steady. Listen to the rain. It is tapping against the glass. Tap, tap, tap. 1,000 tiny fingers drumming a rhythm just for you. It is the sound of nature washing the world clean. It is the sound of isolation, but the good kind, the kind that says you are hidden away, you are a secret. The world has forgotten you for a little while, and what a relief that is, to be forgotten, to be left alone in the warmth. On the small table beside you there is a stack of books. Can you see them in your mind's eye? They are old. Their covers are faded, deep greens, burgundies, midnight blacks. The gold lettering on the spines has dimmed with age. These are the archives. These are the stories of the fog. Tonight we are going to open these pages. We are going to look back into the past, to a time of gaslight and cobblestones, of horse-drawn carriages and shadows. We are going to look at mysteries. But do not worry. These are not stories to frighten you. These are stories to lull you. These are puzzles from a time long gone. The people in these pages are ghosts now, resting in peace. The crimes are distant echoes, softened by the passage of 100 years. They cannot hurt you. They are merely riddles, patterns in the fog, stories of cleverness, of strange occurrences, of things that vanished into the mist. We will read them together, you and I. We will turn the pages slowly. We will listen to the rustle of the paper. We will let the words paint pictures in the dark behind your eyelids. But if you drift off, if the sound of my voice becomes nothing more than a drone blending with the rain, if the firelight pulls you down into the depths of sleep, then let go. You do not need to hear the end. The story will be here when you wake. The library will be here when you wake. For now, just listen. Listen to the crackle of the wood. Listen to the rain. Let us reach for the first book. The leather is cool and smooth under my fingertips. It is heavy. I am lifting it onto the desk. I am opening the cover. The spine cracks gently, a familiar, welcoming sound. The pages are yellowed, thick and textured. The ink is black. Let us begin. Let us step out of this room and into the fog of 1855.
The year is 1855. We are in London, but not the London of bright lights and noise. We are in the London of the fog. A fog so thick, so heavy, that it seems to swallow the sound of your own footsteps. It is a yellow, swirling mist that clings to the cobblestones, that wraps itself around the gas lamps, turning them into glowing, hazy orbs floating in the dark. Our story begins at London Bridge Station. Imagine the station at night. It is a cathedral of iron and glass. High above, the arched roof disappears into the shadows. The air here is different. It tastes of coal smoke, of damp wool, of oil and hot metal. It is a heavy, industrial scent, but there is a comfort in it. It is the scent of routine. It is the scent of the machine. In 1855, the world ran on schedules. The trains ran on time. The clocks ticked in unison. And the gold moved with a rhythm as predictable as the tides. Every few weeks, a shipment of gold bullion, heavy, solid bars of pure wealth, would make a journey. It was a journey from London to Paris. It was a journey that had been made 100 times before, 1,000 times before. It was a routine so established, so boring, that no one thought twice about it. The gold belonged to the merchants. It was packed into wooden boxes. These were not ordinary boxes. They were constructed of thick, sturdy oak. They were downed with iron straps, riveted tight. They were heavy. To lift one required the strength of 2 men. And they were secure, or so everyone believed. Let us look at the security. It was a system of keys, a puzzle of iron and brass. To open the safes that held the gold, one needed keys, but no single man held the power to open them. That would be too dangerous. That would be too simple. No, the railway company, in their wisdom, had divided the power. There were 3 keys. The first key was held here, in London. It was kept by the station master, a man of serious disposition, who kept it on a heavy ring in his waistcoat pocket. The second key was kept in Folkestone, on the coast, where the train would meet the sea. And the third key was kept across the water in Boulogne, France, by the captain of the steamer ship. 3 keys, 3 different men, 3 different locations. To rob the gold, a thief would need to be in 3 places at once.
Or they would need to steal the keys from 3 different men who never slept in the same city. It was impossible. It was a perfect circle of security. It was a machine that could not be broken. And because it was impossible, everyone relaxed. The guards were not vigilant, because why should they be? The system was perfect. But there were men in London who looked at the impossible and saw only a puzzle. Men who did not see a wall, but a door that simply hadn't been unlocked yet. Let me introduce you to them. They are not your typical villains. They are not thugs with clubs lurking in alleyways. They are quiet men. Men you would pass on the street and never notice. First, there was William Pierce. William Pierce was a ticket clerk. He worked for the railway. He was a man of ink stains and ledgers. He stood behind a ticket counter day after day, watching the people pass, watching the trains come and go. He was invisible. He was part of the furniture of the station. He watched the gold boxes being loaded. He watched the guards. He learned the schedule. He learned the faces. He was a man of details. He had a mind like a filing cabinet, storing away every scrap of information. But Pierce was not a craftsman. He was a planner. He needed hands. He needed an artist. And so he found Edward Agar.
Edward Agar was a professional. In the criminal underworld of Victorian London, he was a legend, but a whispered one. He was a safecracker. But he didn't use dynamite. He didn't use force. He used finesse. He could manipulate a lock with the touch of a lover. He could make a key from a glance. Agar was a man of patience. He could sit for hours filing a piece of metal until it was perfect. Scrape, 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 until the curve was exact. These 2 men, the clerk and the craftsman, met in the smoky back rooms of London pubs. They sat in the corners, nursing their ales, their heads bowed together. They spoke in low voices, voices that blended with the murmur of the crowd. They decided that they would not break the system. They would not use force. They would become the system. They would make their own keys. The preparation took months. It was a slow, deliberate dance. They needed to see the keys, just for a moment. They rented a room near the station. They watched. They waited. Through a series of clever social maneuvers, a drink bought here, a friendship struck up there, Agar managed to get close to the keys. He didn't steal them. He didn't need to. He only needed to hold them for a few seconds. Imagine the scene, a momentary distraction, a guard looking away, Agar with a small piece of soft, warm wax hidden in the palm of his hand. He takes the key. He presses it into the wax. Squish. It takes only a second. The metal bites into the wax, leaving a perfect negative image of its teeth, its ridges, its secrets. He hands the key back. "Thank you, sir." The guard puts the key back in his pocket, unaware that he has just given away the castle. Agar takes the wax home. In the silence of his room, by the light of a single candle, he works. He melts lead. He files blank keys. He checks them against the wax impression. File, blow away the dust. File, blow away the dust. He creates a copy, then another, then another. Over the course of months, they collected the shapes of all the keys. They traveled to Folkestone. They traveled to Boulogne. They were patient. They were ghosts collecting shadows. But keys were not enough. They had another problem. Weight.
If they took the gold bars out of the boxes would be light. When the porters in Paris went to lift them, they would know immediately, "This box is empty," they would say, and the alarm would be raised before the thieves could escape. They needed to replace the gold with something just as heavy. They needed lead. Hundreds of pounds of lead shot, the kind used in muskets, tiny, heavy gray balls of metal. They bought the lead in small amounts so as not to arouse suspicion. They brought it to their hideout. They sewed bags, strong canvas bags, to hold the shot. Imagine the sound of the preparation, the rustle of the canvas, the hiss of the lead shot being poured into the bags, like heavy rain falling on a tin roof. Shh, shh. They weighed the bags carefully. They had to match the weight of the gold exactly, a pound for a pound, an ounce for an ounce. Everything was ready. The keys were cut. The lead was bagged. The plan was set. They chose a night in May. The fog was particularly thick that night. The air was damp. Pierce, the ticket clerk, used his position to ensure he was on the roster. Agar, the safecracker, bought a first-class ticket, but he didn't sit in the velvet seat of the first-class carriage. He wore a long coat with deep pockets, pockets filled with tools, pockets filled with lead. The train sat at the platform, hissing steam, the great iron beast breathing, waiting to run. The gold boxes were loaded into the luggage van. The heavy doors were slammed shut. Bang! The guard locked them. Click.
The whistle blew. A long, mournful cry into the night. Hoo! The wheels began to turn. Chug, chug, chug. Slowly at first, then faster. The train pulled out of London Bridge Station, disappearing into the mist. The heist had begun. The train is moving now. We are leaving the lights of London behind. We are plunging into the countryside, into the dark. Let us go inside the luggage van. It is a small, cramped space. It is dark, lit only by a single swaying lantern that hangs from a hook on the ceiling. The lantern swings back and forth with the motion of the train. Creak, creak. The shadows swing with it, lengthening and shortening on the wooden walls. The air in the van is cold. It smells of dust and grease. There are 2 men in the van. The guard, a man named Burgess, who had been bribed into silence, stands by the window, looking out at the passing blackness. And there is Agar.
Agar is on his knees. The floor of the train vibrates beneath him. It is a constant, shaking rhythm. Clack, 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 clack. He is kneeling before the safe. He takes out his tools, a mallet, a chisel, the false keys. He moves with the rhythm of the train. He uses the noise of the wheels to mask the sound of his work. When the train goes over a bridge, roar, he strikes the chisel. When the train slows, he stops. He inserts the first key. It turns, smooth as silk. The lock opens. He opens the safe door. Inside, the wooden boxes sit, heavy and silent. He cannot open the boxes with a key. They are nailed shut and bound with iron bands. He has to be clever. He has to be surgical. He takes a pair of pincers. He grips the head of a nail. He pulls. Creak. The nail comes free. He places it carefully in his pocket. He cannot lose it. He must put it back exactly where it was. He works on the iron bands. He wedges them up, bending them just enough. He lifts the wooden lid. And there it is, the gold. Even in the dim light of the lantern, it gleams. Bars of dull yellow metal. The wealth of an empire sitting in a wooden box on a moving train. Agar does not pause to admire it. He is a professional. He reaches in. The gold is heavy. He lifts a bar out. He sets it on the floor. He lifts another and another. The box is empty. Now the replacement.
He reaches into his carpet bag. He pulls out the bags of lead shot. The canvas sacks are heavy, dense, dead weight. He places them into the wooden box. He packs them in tight, using pieces of wood to keep them from shifting. If they rattle, the game is over. They must be solid. He closes the lid. He hammers the nails back into their original holes. He taps the iron bands back into place. He seals the box. To the naked eye, it looks exactly as it did an hour ago. It is scratched, it is worn, it is bound in iron, but inside, the heart of gold has been replaced by a heart of lead. He moves to the next box. Clack, 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 clack. The train rushes on through the night, past sleeping villages, past lonely farmhouses. Agar is sweating now. The work is hard. The train sways, throwing him off balance. He has to brace himself against the wall. His hands are cramping, but he does not stop. He removes the gold. He inserts the lead. He seals the box. Gold out, lead in. Seal. Gold out, lead in. Seal. It is a rhythm within a rhythm. By the time the train begins to slow for Folkestone, the work is done. The tools are packed away. The gold bars are hidden in black leather bags. The floor is swept clean of wood chips. Agar sits back on his heels. He takes a deep breath. The lantern sways above him. The train hisses to a halt. The doors open. The cool sea air rushes in. The porters come aboard. They are laughing, talking about their dinner. They reach for the boxes. "Heavy tonight," one of them grunts. "Aye, heavy as always," says the other. They lift the boxes filled with lead. They carry them off the train and on to the steamship bound for France. Agar watches them go. He holds his breath. They do not notice. The weight is perfect. The deception is complete. Agar and Pierce walk off the train, carrying their own luggage that is now incredibly, impossibly heavy. They struggle to walk normally. They have to strain their muscles to keep from staggering. But they make it to the carriage. They make it into the night. They have stolen 12,000 pounds worth of gold, and no one knows. The crime has happened, and the victim is still sleeping. The boxes travel to France. They travel to Paris. They are unloaded at the bank. It is only the next day, when the bank officials in Paris break the seals, that the silence is broken. They pry open the lid. They expect the gleam of gold. Instead, they see gray. They see canvas. They see lead shot. Imagine the confusion in that room, the silence, the blinking of eyes. They weigh the boxes.
The weight is correct. The seals were intact. The keys were never missing. It was as if the gold had transmuted, as if it had turned to lead by magic.
The police were baffled. The railway company was humiliated. It was the perfect crime. There were no clues, no violence, no witnesses, just lead shot and empty space. For 2 years the mystery remained. The fog of London held the secret. Pierce and Agar lived quietly. They melted the gold down bit by bit. They sold it slowly. They were rich men, but they lived in the shadows. And they would have gotten away with it forever if not for the one thing they couldn't calculate, the one thing that cannot be measured in ounces or pounds, the human heart. You see, Edward Agar fell in love. He had a woman named Fanny Kay. They had a child together. But then Agar was arrested for a different, smaller crime, a check forgery. He was sent to prison. Before he went away, he gave his share of the money to his partner, Pierce. He told Pierce, "Take care of Fanny. Take care of my child. Give them money from my share while I am in prison." Pierce promised. "I will," he said. "I give you my word." But Pierce was a greedy man. With Agar in prison, Pierce thought he was safe. He stopped paying Fanny. He let her starve. He let the child go hungry. Fanny was desperate. She went to the prison to visit Agar. She told him, "Pierce has given us nothing. We are destitute." Agar was a criminal. He was a thief, but he was a man of his word, and he loved his family. The betrayal broke him. The anger burned hotter than the furnace of the steam train. He called for the governor of the prison. He said, "I want to make a statement. I want to tell you about the gold." And so the silence was broken, not by a detective, but by a father. Agar told them everything. He told them about the wax. He told them about the lead. He told them about the train ride in the dark. The police arrested Pierce. They found the lead shot in his house. They found the melted gold. The trial was a sensation, but even then it was a quiet sensation. There was no shouting, just the unraveling of a puzzle. Pierce and Agar were sent to prison for life. The gold was mostly gone. But the story remained. The story of the night the gold turned to lead. The story of the train that carried a secret through the fog. And now, the train has stopped. The station is empty. The gold is gone. The men are long dead. The iron boxes have rotted away. All that is left is the rain and the memory of a cleverness that almost succeeded. Let the train whistle fade from your mind. Let the clack-clack of the wheels slow down and stop. You are back in the library. You are back in the chair. The fire is warm. The room is still. Rest your eyes. Let us leave the smoke and the iron of the train station. Let us travel deeper into the night, to a different part of London. We are moving west now, away from the industrial grit and toward the gaslit elegance of Mayfair. Here the fog does not smell of coal. It smells of damp leaves from the parks, of expensive perfume, of wet pavement. The year is 1876. The streets are quiet. The grand houses stand tall and silent, their windows dark, their secrets hidden behind heavy drapes. Tonight, we are looking for a man, but not just any man. We are looking for a ghost in a tuxedo,
a man who moved through the Victorian world like a whisper. His name was Adam Worth. History would call him the Napoleon of Crime. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle would use him as the inspiration for the greatest villain of all time, Professor Moriarty. But Adam Worth was not a villain in the brutal sense. He was a gentleman. He was a man of taste. He did not carry a weapon. He carried a cane. He did not break doors down. He unlocked them. He was a thief, yes, but he was a thief with a soul. On this particular night, Adam Worth was not looking for gold. He was not looking for diamonds. He was looking for beauty. His target was a lady, a duchess, specifically the Duchess of Devonshire. She was not a living woman. She was a painting, a masterpiece created by the great artist Thomas Gainsborough. Let me describe her to you. Close your eyes and imagine the canvas. She is magnificent. It is a portrait of Georgiana Cavendish. In the painting, she stands tall and proud. She is wearing a hat, a grand, sweeping hat with a wide brim, adorned with feathers that seem to rustle in a painted breeze. Her hair is a cascade of curls, powdered and piled high.
But it is her face that captures you. Her eyes are dark, intelligent, and slightly amused. Her lips are curved in a half smile, as if she knows a secret that she will never tell. She is wearing a dress of blue silk, a blue so deep, so rich, that it looks like the ocean at twilight. The painting was famous. It had been lost for years, hidden away in obscurity, until it was rediscovered and put up for auction. It was bought by the Agnew Art Gallery on Old Bond Street for a record-breaking price, 10,000 guineas, the highest price ever paid for a painting at that time. The gallery owners were proud. They displayed her in their showroom. Crowds came to see her. They stared at the blue silk. They stared at the feathers. But Adam Worth, he stared at the window. He did not want to pay 10,000 guineas. He wanted to take her. But why? It wasn't just for the money. Adam Worth had a brother, a man named John, who was in trouble with the law. Worth needed leverage. He thought, if I steal this famous painting, I can hold it ransom. I can trade the Duchess for my brother's freedom. It was a logical plan, a business transaction. But plans change when beauty is involved. The night of the heist arrived. It was a classic London night. The fog was a thick gray blanket that muffled the city. It was the kind of night where you could stand on one side of the street and not see the other. Worth worked alone. He always worked alone when it mattered. He approached the Agnew Gallery. The street was deserted. The only sound was the distant clip-clop of a policeman's boots on the pavement. Worth waited in the shadows of an alleyway. He was patient. He was as still as a statue. Clip-clop, clip-clop. The policeman passed. The silence returned. Worth moved. He was wearing shoes with soft rubber soles. He made no sound. He was a shadow detaching itself from the wall. He approached the gallery window. It was high up, but Worth was athletic. He was small, wiry, and strong. He climbed onto a ledge. He reached the window. He didn't smash the glass. That would be crude. That would be noisy. He used a jemmy, a small crowbar, to gently pry the sash open. Creak. Just a whisper of wood against wood. He slipped inside. The gallery was pitch black. The air inside was cool and smelled of varnish and oil paint. He didn't light a lantern. He didn't need to. He had memorized the room. He knew exactly where she was. He moved through the darkness, his hands outstretched, feeling his way. He passed landscapes, he passed portraits of stern old men, until he stopped. He was standing in front of her. He struck a single match. The small flame flared to life, a tiny sphere of orange light in the vast darkness. And there she was, the Duchess. In the flickering light of the match, she seemed to come alive. The shadows danced across her face, making her smile seem to widen. The blue of her dress shimmered. She looked down at him, this thief in the night, with her amused, knowing eyes. Worth stared at her. The match burned down, scorching his fingertips, but he didn't feel it. He was captivated. He shook the match out. Darkness returned. Now the work.
The frame was huge, heavy, gilded gold, too heavy to carry, too big to fit through the window. He took out a knife, a small, incredibly sharp blade. He reached up. He felt the edge of the canvas where it met the wood of the stretcher. He began to cut. Slice. A soft, tearing sound, like silk ripping. He cut carefully. He didn't want to hurt her. He cut along the very edge, preserving the image. He moved his hand down the side, along the bottom, up the other side. He held the canvas with his other hand, supporting her weight. The final cut. The canvas came free. He caught her. She was light, just a piece of linen and oil paint. He rolled her, gently, carefully, like rolling a sleeping child in a blanket. He rolled the Duchess of Devonshire into a tight cylinder, the blue silk hidden on the inside. He tied the roll with a piece of silk ribbon he had brought for this purpose. He slipped the roll under his coat. She was close to his heart now. He went back to the window. He climbed out into the fog. He closed the window behind him. He dropped to the street. He walked away. The policeman came back around the corner 5 minutes later. He checked the door, locked. He checked the window, closed. He walked on, humming a tune, unaware that the most famous woman in London had just been kidnapped.
Adam Worth had the painting. The plan was simple. Wait for the outcry, contact the gallery, demand the ransom, get his brother out of trouble. But then something happened. His brother was released from trouble on a technicality. The ransom was no longer needed. Worth was left with a stolen masterpiece, a painting that every police officer in Europe was looking for, a painting he couldn't sell, couldn't display, and couldn't return without risking arrest. He should have destroyed it. It was evidence. It was dangerous. But he couldn't. He unrolled the canvas in his private rooms. He looked at her again. The blue dress, the hat, the eyes. He fell in love. Not a romantic love, perhaps, but a deep, possessive obsession. He loved the beauty of it. He loved the audacity of the theft. He loved that she belonged to him, and only him. And so began one of the strangest relationships in history, the thief and the Duchess. For the next 25 years, they were inseparable. Adam Worth was a criminal, which meant he had to move. He traveled the world. He went to Paris. He went to New York. He went to South Africa. He went to Belgium. And everywhere he went, the Duchess went with him. He had a special trunk made, a trunk with a false bottom,
a secret compartment lined with velvet. That is where she slept. Imagine the journey of this painting, a canvas that was meant to hang on the wall of a palace, now traveling in the luggage of a fugitive. She crossed the Atlantic Ocean on steamships. She felt the vibration of the engines. She heard the crash of the waves. She lay in the dark, rolled up, safe in her secret compartment. She stayed in the finest hotels in Paris. Worth would check into a suite. He would lock the door. He would close the curtains. And then, only then, would he take her out. He would unroll her on the bed. He would pour himself a glass of brandy, and he would sit there for hours, just looking at her, talking to her, perhaps, telling her about his day, telling her about the close calls with the police. She was his confidant. She was his constant. In a life of lies, she was the only true thing he had. There were times when he was almost caught, times when the Pinkerton detectives were closing in, times when he had to flee a city in the middle of the night. He left behind clothes, he left behind money, he left behind jewelry, but he never left the Duchess. He slept with the trunk under his bed, or sometimes he would sleep with the canvas itself, rolled up, placed beneath his mattress. He slept on top of her, guarding her with his own body. Years passed. The Victorian Era began to fade. The gas lamps were replaced by electric lights. The world was changing. Adam Worth grew old. His hands, once so steady, began to tremble. His hair turned gray. He was tired of running. He was tired of the shadows. He had made a fortune, and he had lost a fortune. He had been wealthy, and he had been poor, but he still had her. But he knew he was dying, and he began to worry. What would happen to her when he was gone?
If he died, his belongings would be searched. She would be found. She would be handled by rough hands. She might be damaged, or worse, she might disappear again, lost to history. He couldn't bear the thought. He decided it was time to send her home. It was 1901, 25 years after he had climbed through the window on that foggy night. He contacted the Pinkerton Detective Agency, not to surrender himself, but to negotiate a return. The meeting was arranged in a hotel room in Chicago. It was all very mysterious. No names were used. A man appeared, a messenger for Worth. He carried a brown paper parcel. It looked like nothing, just a roll of paper. The detective watched as the parcel was opened. The brown paper was peeled back, then a layer of silk. And there she was, the Duchess of Devonshire. She was a little weary. The canvas had a few cracks from being rolled and unrolled so many times. The edges were a little frayed, but the blue was still vibrant. The eyes were still bright. She had traveled thousands of miles. She had lived in trunks and under mattresses. She had been the secret companion of the world's greatest thief. And now she was free. Worth didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for immunity. He just gave her back. It was a final act of love. He let her go because he wanted her to be safe.
Adam Worth died a few months later. He died quietly in a house in London, not far from where he had stolen her. Some say he died of a broken heart, not for a woman of flesh and blood, but for the woman in the blue dress.
The painting hangs in a gallery today. Thousands of people walk past her. They admire the brushwork. They admire the hat. But they don't know the secret. They don't know that she was a traveler. They don't know that she spent 25 years sleeping in the dark, listening to the heartbeat of a thief. The gallery is quiet now. The lights are out. The Duchess is hanging on her wall, safe and sound. And Adam Worth, the ghost in the tuxedo, he is gone into the fog. Let the image of the blue dress fade from your mind. Let the gold frame dissolve into the shadows. You are back in the sanctuary. The fire is burning low. The embers are glowing a deep, sleepy red. The rain is still falling, a gentle, steady rhythm. Tap, tap, tap. You are safe. You are warm. Let us close this book. Rest now.
We are leaving the city now. We are leaving the cobblestones and the gas lamps behind. Let your mind drift away from the land. Let it drift out, past the harbor, past the lighthouse, into the deep blue expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. The year is 1872. Imagine the ocean. It is vast. It is endless, a horizon of water that meets the sky in a perfect, unbroken line. The air here is different. It is clean. It is sharp with salt. It fills your lungs and clears your mind. We are on a ship, a brigantine. Her name is the Mary Celeste. She is a beautiful ship. 100 feet of oak and pine, her sails are white canvas, billowing in the wind like clouds tethered to the earth. She cuts through the water with a steady, graceful motion. Rise and fall, rise and fall. It is November. The Mary Celeste is sailing from New York to Genoa, Italy. She is carrying a cargo of industrial alcohol, 1,700 barrels of it, red oak barrels stacked tight in the hold. But she is carrying something more precious than cargo. She is carrying a family. The captain is Benjamin Briggs, a man of the sea, a man of discipline and faith. He is not a harsh man. He is a man who loves his ship and he loves his family. With him is his wife, Sarah, and their daughter, Sophia. Sophia is 2 years old. Imagine a 2-year-old child on a ship in the middle of the ocean. She plays on the deck, tethered by a rope so she doesn't wander too far. She has her toys, wooden blocks, a rag doll. She laughs at the seagulls. She watches the waves.
The crew is small. 7 men, good men, experienced sailors, Germans, Danes, Americans. They know the ropes. They know the wind. Life on the ship is a routine. It is a cycle of watches, 4 hours on, 4 hours off. The ringing of the ship's bell marks the time. Ding, 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 ding. The days are peaceful. The sun rises over the water, painting the waves in gold and pink. The ship moves forward, a tiny speck of wood and canvas in a universe of blue. The captain writes in his logbook every day. He notes the wind, he notes the position, he notes the weather. Fine weather, he writes, light breeze. There is no sign of trouble, no storms, no pirates, just the gentle rocking of the ship, creak,
splash, creak, splash. Sarah Briggs sits in the cabin. She is sewing, or perhaps she is playing the melodeon, a small organ. The music drifts out of the cabin, mixing with the sound of the wind in the rigging, a hymn, perhaps, or a lullaby for Sophia. It is a picture of domestic peace, floating on the high seas, a floating home. They pass the Azores Islands, green peaks rising out of the mist. They are making good time. On the morning of November 25th, Captain Briggs sits at his desk. He dips his pen in the ink. He writes the date. He writes the coordinates. He closes the book. And that is the last thing he ever writes. Let us move forward in time, just a few days. It is now December 4th. Another ship is sailing the same route, the Dei Gratia. The captain of the Dei Gratia is a man named David Morehouse. He is a friend of Captain Briggs. They had dinner together in New York before they set sail. It is a clear afternoon. The sea is calm.
The lookout on the Dei Gratia calls out, "Sail ho!" Captain Morehouse raises his telescope. He sees a ship ahead. She is about 5 miles away. He watches her. Something is wrong. She is moving strangely. She is yawing, swinging slightly from side to side. Her sails are not set correctly. Some are torn, some are missing. She looks untidy. And she is silent. Ships usually signal each other. They raise flags, they wave. But this ship offers no greeting. She just drifts. Morehouse brings his ship closer. He reads the name on the stern. Mary Celeste. "That's Benjamin's ship," he says. He signals again. No answer. The Mary Celeste is moving, but she is moving like a sleepwalker, drifting with the wind, with no hand on the wheel. Morehouse sends a boarding party. 3 men. They lower small boat. They row across the water. Dip, splash. Dip, splash. They reach the side of the Mary Celeste. They climb the ladder. They step onto the deck. And this is where the mystery begins. It is not what they see that chills them. It is what they hear. Silence. Absolute, total silence. The only sound is the wind whistling through the rigging and the water slapping against the hull. "Ahoy!" they shout. "Captain Briggs!" No answer. The wheel is unmanned. It spins idly back and forth, back and forth. The deck is empty. There is no one there. They walk forward. They check the hatches. They are open. They go below deck. They expect to find something, a struggle, a sickness, a fire. But they find nothing. They find a ship that looks as if the people simply vanished into thin air. Let us walk with them through the cabin. Step softly. The main cabin is the home of the Briggs family. It is dry. It is tidy. There is a sewing machine on the table. A small garment, perhaps a shirt for Sophia, is laid out, waiting to be stitched. There are toys on the floor, blocks, a doll. They are not scattered in panic. They are just there, as if the child was playing and then was picked up and carried away. They go to the captain's cabin. The bed is made. The impression of a body is still on the pillow, perhaps, but the sheets are not torn. On the desk, the logbook lies open. The pen is in the holder. They go to the galley, the kitchen. There is food, there is water, plenty of it, enough for 6 months. They were not starving, they were not thirsty. There are stories, legends really, that say the breakfast was still warm on the table, that there were eggs still steaming and coffee in the cups. That is a myth, a story added later, but the truth is just as haunting. The table was set, the plates were there, the cups were there. It looked like a room waiting for people to return. In the crew's quarters, the sailors' sea chests are there, their clothes are folded, their pipes are there. A sailor never leaves his pipe behind, not willingly, and yet they are gone. 10 people, the captain, his wife, the baby, and 7 crewmen, gone. The boarding party searches the entire ship. They check the cargo. The barrels of alcohol are there, secure. They check the pumps. There is a little water in the hold, but not much. The ship is not sinking. She is seaworthy. She could sail around the world. But she is a ghost ship. The only thing missing is the lifeboat. There was a small yawl boat attached to the stern. It is gone. The rope that held it has been cut. So they left. They left the ship. But why? Why would an experienced captain, a man who knew the sea, abandon a perfectly good ship in the middle of the ocean? Why would he take his wife and 2-year-old daughter into a tiny open boat miles from land when the big ship was safe? There was no storm. The logbook said, fine weather. There was no fire. There were no scorch marks. There was no violence, no blood, no signs of a fight. It was as if a voice had called to them from the sea, a voice that said, leave, leave now. And they obeyed. They walked calmly to the boat, they got in, and they rowed away into the silence. The sailors from the Dei Gratia sailed the Mary Celeste to Gibraltar. They claimed the salvage money, but they never claimed the answer. For 150 years, the world has asked, what happened? Let us sit with the mystery for a moment. Let us look at the theories, not with fear, but with curiosity, like turning a puzzle piece in your hand. Some say it was a sea quake. Imagine the ocean floor miles below. The earth shifts. A tremor sends a shock wave up through the water. On the surface, the sea remains flat, but the ship feels it. Suddenly, the Mary Celeste begins to shake, a violent, terrifying vibration. The wood groans, the masts shudder. Captain Briggs, fearing the ship is about to break apart, fearing the cargo of alcohol might explode from the friction, makes a split-second decision. Abandon ship.
They rush to the lifeboat. They launch it. They attach a long rope to the Mary Celeste, intending to trail behind her until the danger passes. They sit in the little boat, bobbing on the waves, watching their home. But then, the rope snaps. Or perhaps the wind picks up. The Mary Celeste, her sails still set, catches the breeze. She begins to move. She moves faster than the men can row. They watch as the ship sails away from them. They watch as she gets smaller and smaller on the horizon, a white sail against the blue sky. They call out, but the ship cannot hear them. She sails on, empty and safe, and they are left behind in the vast silence of the Atlantic. It is a tragic theory, but a peaceful one in a way. No monsters, no pirates, just a mistake, a moment of fear, followed by the quiet drift of the ocean. Others say it was the alcohol. 1,700 barrels, raw alcohol. Perhaps the barrels leaked. Perhaps the fumes built up in the hold. Imagine the smell, sharp, chemical. Perhaps there was a small explosion, a puff of gas blowing a hatch cover off. The captain sees smoke. He thinks the ship is on fire. He thinks the cargo is about to blow. Again the order is given, "Get to the boat! Get away!" They scramble into the lifeboat. They row frantically to get distance between them and the floating bomb. They wait. They watch.
But the ship does not explode. The fumes clear. The danger passes. But by then, the wind has pushed the ship away. The gap is too wide. The ocean is too big. And then there are the stranger theories, the ones whispered by sailors in port taverns late at night. Did they eat bread made from rye infected with ergot, a fungus that causes hallucinations? Did they see things that weren't there? Did they see monsters in the water? Did they see fire in the sky? Did they simply walk off the ship? Or was it a waterspout, a tornado at sea, a low-pressure system that sucked the air out of the cabin, making them think the ship was sinking? We will never know. The ocean keeps its secrets. The Mary Celeste was repaired. She sailed again, but she was always known as an unlucky ship. Sailors didn't want to sign on. They said she was haunted, not by ghosts, but by the silence. Eventually, she was wrecked on a reef in Haiti. Her wood rotted away. Her bones were claimed by the coral and the sand. But the image remains. The image of the empty ship. Close your eyes and see it. The blue ocean, the bright sun, the white sails, the breakfast table set, the coffee cup waiting, the child's toy on the deck. It is a frozen moment in time, a moment of interruption. It is not scary. It is just still.
Imagine you are on that ship now, not as a crew member, but as a ghost, a silent observer. You are standing on the deck. The sun is warm on your face. The salt spray is cool. You hear the water rushing past the hull. Shh, shh. You hear the wind humming in the ropes, a low, mournful song. You are completely alone. There is no one to talk to, no one to answer to. There is only the sea, the endless, rhythmic, breathing sea. The ship rocks you left and right, like a cradle. The horizon is a soft blur. The sky is a soft blue. There is no destination. There is no arrival. There is only the journey. The Mary Celeste is sailing forever. She is sailing through the fog of history. She is sailing through the mists of our imagination. She is the ship that never stops. And the people, the captain, the wife, the child, let us imagine them at peace. Let us imagine that they found an island, a place that is not on any map, a place where the sun always shines and the sea is always calm. Let us imagine they simply stepped out of our world and into another, a quieter world, a world where the only sound is the waves. Creak, whoosh. Creak, whoosh.
Breathe in with the wave. Breathe out with the wave. The mystery is not a problem to be solved. It is just a story to drift on. Let the Mary Celeste sail on. Let her go. Watch her disappear over the horizon, a tiny white speck, gone. And now you are back in the library. The salt air fades. The smell of old paper returns. The chair is beneath you. The blanket is warm. The sea is far away. You are on dry land. You are safe. We return now to England, but we are leaving the gaslit streets of London behind. We are traveling north, away from the smoke and the noise, to the countryside, to the rolling hills, the dark hedgerows, and the muddy fields of Staffordshire. The year is 1906. The Victorian era has ended. Queen Victoria is gone. We are in the Edwardian age now. It is a time of transition. The world is moving faster. Cars are appearing on the roads. Telephones are ringing in hallways. But in the rural villages of England, the old ways and the old prejudices still run deep. The soil is ancient, and the memories are long. Our story begins not with a crime, but with a man sitting at a desk. He is a big man, a giant of a man, really, broad-shouldered, with a thick walrus mustache that hides a mouth often set in determination. He has eyes that have seen a great deal of the world, from the icy waters of the Arctic to the dusty plains of South Africa. He is a doctor by training, a man of science, but he is a writer by trade. He is, in fact, the most famous writer in the world. His name is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He is the man who created Sherlock Holmes. He is the man who invented the science of deduction. He taught the world to look at a muddy boot and see a journey. He taught the world to look at a smudge of ink on a cuff and see a motive. He taught us that if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. But here is the irony. Arthur Conan Doyle is bored. He is tired. He has killed Sherlock Holmes, or tried to, at the Reichenbach Falls. He wants to be taken seriously. He wants to write history. He wants to be a knight of the realm for his patriotism, not for his puzzles. But the world only wants one thing from him. They want the detective. They want the deerstalker hat. They want the pipe. They want the game to be afoot. He sits in his study at Windlesham, his beautiful home in Sussex. The morning light is streaming in through the tall windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. On his desk, a massive slab of oak, is a stack of mail. It is not just a stack, it is a mountain, a tower of envelopes, white, cream, blue, stamps from every corner of the globe. Letters from fans, letters from publishers offering fortunes for one more story, and, most tragically, letters from people begging him to solve their problems. Dear Mr. Doyle, I have lost my cat. Dear Mr. Doyle, my husband is cheating. Dear Mr. Doyle, someone has stolen my grandmother's brooch.
He sighs. It is a heavy, weary sound. He picks up his paper knife. It is silver, heavy in his hand. Slice. He opens another one. Slice. He reads a few lines. He tosses it aside. He is about to give up. He is about to push the chair back, put on his coat, and go play a round of golf to clear his head. But then his hand hovers over a packet. It is not a neat envelope. It is bulky. It looks worn. It feels heavy. He picks it up. He slices it open. Inside, there are newspaper clippings. They are dirty, crumpled, as if they have been carried in a pocket for a long time. And there is a letter. The letter is written in a precise, cramped hand. It is from a man named George Edalji. Doyle puts on his glasses. He leans forward. The chair creaks beneath him. He begins to read.
and as he reads, the boredom vanishes. The weariness in his shoulders evaporates, his eyes narrow, his jaw sets. The spirit of Sherlock Holmes, the spirit of justice, begins to rise within him, unbidden. The story in the clippings is a dark one. It is a story of a small village called Great Wirely, a name that sounds like something from a Gothic novel. George Edalji is a lawyer. He is a quiet man, a studious man. He has written a book on railway law. He is not a man of adventure. He lives with his father, the Reverend Shapurji Edalji, who is the vicar of the local church. But George is an outsider. His father is Parsi from India. George is of mixed heritage in a village that is white, insular, and deeply suspicious of anything different. For years, the Edalji family has been tormented. It started with letters, poison pen letters, anonymous, hateful scrawls sent to the vicarage. They were slipped under the door. They were mailed from local post boxes. They were filled with threats. They were filled with madness. They promised violence. They promised shame. The police did nothing. The chief constable, a man named Captain Anson, had a theory, a lazy, prejudiced theory. He said, "Perhaps George is writing them himself. Perhaps he is seeking attention." And then the madness escalated. It moved from ink to blood.
Animals in the village began to be harmed. Horses, cows, sheep. They were found in the fields, injured in the night. We will not dwell on the details, for they are cruel, but it was the work of a savage, a person with a knife and a dark heart. The village was in a panic. The farmers were terrified. They needed a villain. They needed a scapegoat. They needed someone to blame so they could sleep at night. And they chose George. Why? Because he was strange, because he was quiet, because he walked alone, because he looked different. The police arrived at the vicarage. They swarmed the house like hornets. They searched George's room. They found an old coat. It was hanging in the wardrobe. It had a few horsehairs on it. They found a razor. It was wet. George had just shaved that morning. They said, "This is the man." They arrested him. They dragged him from his home. They put him on trial. The evidence was flimsy. It was non-existent. The hairs could have come from anywhere. The razor was for his face. But the jury looked at him. They looked at his dark eyes. They looked at his nervous hands. And they didn't see a lawyer. They saw a monster. George Edalji was sentenced to 7 years of penal servitude, 7 years of hard labor, breaking rocks, sewing mailbags, sleeping on a plank bed. He served 3 years. He was released early, but he was not pardoned. He was a ruined man. He could not practice law. He was branded a criminal. He was a pariah. He wrote to Conan Doyle as a last resort, a cry in the dark. "Help me," he wrote. "I am innocent. I have no one else." Doyle finishes reading. He puts the clippings down on the oak desk. He stands up. He walks to the window. He looks out at the green English countryside, at the peaceful hills of Sussex. He feels a burning in his chest. It is anger, cold, hard anger. He knows in his gut that this is wrong. He knows with the instinct of a detective that the police have been lazy. They have fitted the facts to the theory instead of the theory to the facts. They have committed the cardinal sin of investigation. "The game," Doyle whispers to the empty room,
is afoot. He does not call the police. He does not write a letter to the Times. Not yet. He goes to his closet. He packs a bag. He puts on his heavy tweed coat. He puts on his sturdy walking boots. He grabs his hat. He takes the train to Staffordshire. Imagine the scene. The creator of Sherlock Holmes stepping on to the platform at Great Wirely. The fog is swirling around his ankles. The villagers stare. It is as if a fictional character has walked off the page and into their reality. He is larger than life. Doyle goes to the Grand Hotel in Birmingham, where he has arranged to meet George Edalji. He sits in the lobby. He waits. He watches the door. And this is the moment of deduction. This is the moment where reality mimics art. The door opens. A man enters. It is George Edalji. Doyle does not stand up immediately. He watches. He observes. Edalji is holding a newspaper. He is looking for Doyle, but he is not scanning the room like a normal man. He holds the newspaper very close to his face, inches away. He squints. His eyes are bulging slightly. He turns his head sideways, trying to focus. He moves tentatively, like a man walking in a dim room. He stumbles slightly over the edge of a rug. Doyle stands up. He walks over. He extends his hand. "Mr. Edalji?" George jumps slightly. He looks up, squinting. "Sir Arthur?" Doyle shakes his hand. He looks deep into Edalji's eyes. He sees the dilation. He sees the strain.
"Mr. Edalji," Doyle says, his voice low and rumbling, "you suffer from astigmatism, do you not, and severe myopia?" Edalji is surprised. He blinks. "Why, yes, Sir Arthur. I have been half-blind since birth. My vision is terrible." Doyle smiles, a small, satisfied smile, the smile of a man who has just found the missing puzzle piece. "Then you are innocent," Doyle says firmly. "How do you know?" asked Edalji, his voice trembling with hope. "Because," Doyle says, gesturing for him to sit, "the crimes were committed at night, in pitch blackness, across open fields full of hedges, ditches, and wire fences." Doyle leans in. "Mr. Edalji, you cannot even see me clearly across this lobby in broad daylight. If you tried to run across a field at night, in the rain, to chase a frightened animal, you would trip over the first root and break your neck. You would be lost in 5 minutes." It was simple. It was biological. It was a fact. The police had said George roamed the fields like a phantom, but the man sitting before Doyle was helpless without light. But Doyle knew that logic alone would not convince the authorities. The police were stubborn. They had their reputation to protect. They didn't want a writer from London telling them they were fools. Doyle needed proof. He needed to dismantle the police's case brick by brick. He needed to be Holmes. He traveled to the village of Great Wirely. He went to the vicarage. He met George's father. He saw the door where the hate mail had been slipped through. He walked the fields. Let us walk with him. It is a gray, damp afternoon. The sky is the color of slate. The wind is blowing across the moors. Doyle is wearing his heavy boots. He is walking the path that the police said George took on the night of the crime. He looks at the ground. The soil in Great Wirely is not ordinary dirt. It is clay, a specific kind of red, heavy clay. It is sticky. It clings to everything. It sucks at your boots. Squelch, squelch. Doyle stops. He looks at his own boots.
They are caked in red mud. It is thick. It is impossible to remove without scrubbing. He remembers the police report. The police had raided George's house the morning after the crime. They had seized his boots. They had seized his trousers. Doyle takes a notebook from his pocket. He consults his notes. Police report. The boots found in the accused's room were clean. Doyle looks at the mud on his own feet. Impossible, he mutters. How, he asks the empty field, does a man walk through a clay field in the rain, butcher an animal, and come home with clean boots? The police had a theory for that, too. They said he must have cleaned them. In the dark, Doyle counters in his mind, without waking his family, without leaving a trace of mud in the sink, without leaving a speck of red clay on the floorboards? He shakes his head. It is absurd. He moves on to the next piece of evidence, the coat. The police said the coat had horsehairs on it, proof that George had been wrestling with a pony. Doyle had managed to get a sample of the hairs. He was a man of science. He had a microscope. He remembers looking at the hairs in his study. He magnified them. "These are not from the injured horse," Doyle declared to his wife. "Look at the texture. Look at the color. These are from a different breed entirely." And more than that, they were old hairs. They were brittle. They were woven deep into the fabric of the coat. This coat, Doyle realized, was used as a blanket. It was thrown over the family pony years ago to keep it warm. That is why the hairs are there. The razor, the wet razor. The police said George used it to harm the animals. Ridiculous, Doyle thought. A razor is a delicate instrument. If you used it to cut through the tough hide of a horse, it would chip, it would break, and it would be covered in blood. The razor they found was pristine. It was wet because George had shaved. Every piece of evidence, when looked at with the eye of logic, fell apart. It crumbled like dry earth.
Doyle spent months on the case. He became a familiar sight in the village. The big man in the tweed coat, poking at fences, measuring distances, talking to the locals. He found something else, too. He found a suspect. He found a local man, a ruffian named Royden Sharp, a man who had been expelled from school for stabbing a classmate, a man who bragged about his knife skills, a man who hated the Edalji family. Doyle built a case against Sharp. He had motives, he had opportunity, he had the weapon. But the police refused to listen. Captain Anson, the chief constable, was furious. He wrote letters calling Doyle a meddler. He refused to reopen the file. So Doyle did what he did best. He picked up his pen. He wrote. He wrote a series of articles for the Daily Telegraph. He titled it The Case of Mr. George Edalji. He laid out the facts. He told the story. He used his fame as a weapon. He turned the entire nation into a jury. The public was captivated. It was a real-life Sherlock Holmes story written by the man himself. People read it over their breakfast tea in London. They read it on the omnibuses in Manchester. They read it in the clubs and the pubs. "Injustice," they cried. "Shame!" "The man is blind," they said. "The boots were clean." The Home Office was flooded with letters. The government was embarrassed. They could not ignore the most famous writer in the empire. They were forced to act.
The investigation was reopened. A committee was formed. 3 wise men in wigs sat down to review the case. They reviewed the evidence. They looked at the eyes. They looked at the mud. They looked at the letters. And they had to admit Doyle was right. George Edalji was innocent.
He was granted a pardon. He was a free man. But it was a partial victory. The government, stubborn to the end, refused to pay him compensation. They said he brought it on himself by being suspicious. Doyle was furious. He raged against the machine. He wrote more letters. But he had saved the man. That was the important thing. George Edalji was readmitted to the role of solicitors. He could work again. He could hold his head up high. He attended his sister's wedding. He lived a quiet, respectable life. He never forgot the man who saved him. But the legacy of this case went further than just one man. Because of the Edalji case, the British government realized something terrifying. They realized that their system was flawed. They realized that once a jury had decided, there was no way to appeal. There was no higher court to say, you made a mistake. If Doyle hadn't intervened, Edalji would have rotted in prison. And so, because of the man with the bad eyes and the writer with the sharp mind, they changed the law. They created the Court of Criminal Appeal. It is the foundation of modern justice in England, a safety net for the innocent, a place where mistakes can be fixed. Think about that for a moment. A story about a muddy field in Staffordshire. A story about a wet razor and a pair of glasses. It changed the law of the land. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle went back to his study in Sussex. He went back to his writing. He never solved another crime quite like that one. He didn't need to. He had proven that intellect, quiet, careful, rational thought is the most powerful weapon against darkness. Let us picture him now. It is evening at Windlesham. The case is closed. The files are put away. The letters are answered. Doyle sits in his favorite armchair. It is leather, worn and soft. He lights his pipe. The match flares, then dies. The smoke curls up, blue and fragrant, drifting toward the ceiling. He picks up a book, not a mystery. He has had enough of mysteries for a while. Perhaps a history book or a book of poetry. He is tired, but it is a good tired. It is the tiredness of a man who has climbed a mountain and is now resting in the valley. He thinks of George Edalji, sleeping safely in his bed tonight. He thinks of the mud on the boots. He thinks of the fog lifting from the fields. The world is chaotic. The world is full of noise and prejudice and confusion. But in this room, in the sanctuary of the mind, there is order. A plus B equals C. If the man is blind, he cannot see in the dark. It is a comforting thought. The world makes sense if you look at it closely enough, if you take the time, if you breathe. The fire is dying down now. The coals are glowing orange, pulsing gently with the heat. The rain outside has stopped completely. The clouds are breaking. A single star is visible through the library window, shining cold and clear. The real Sherlock Holmes closes his eyes. The house is silent. The village is silent. The only sound is the steady, reassuring beat of his own heart. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. And the ticking of the clock. Tick, tock. Tick, tock. Justice has been done. The balance is restored. And we can rest. Let the story of the lawyer and the writer fade away. Let the logic dissolve into dreams. You do not need to think anymore. You do not need to deduce. You do not need to solve anything. You only need to sleep. The stories are done. The last page has been turned. The last mystery has been unraveled. The last train has pulled into the station, its steam dissipating into the night air. The last ship has sailed over the horizon, leaving only a calm, empty sea. We are back. You and I, we are back in the sanctuary. Take a moment to feel the room around you. It is different now. The energy has changed. The anticipation of the stories is gone, replaced by a profound, heavy stillness. The shadows in the corners of the room have grown longer, softer, stretching out like sleepy cats. The golden light of the fire has deepened into a rich, glowing amber, casting a warm, protective spell over everything. The storm that raged outside has passed. The wind has lost its voice. It no longer howls at the door. The thunder has rolled away to the edges of the earth, a distant memory that can no longer touch you. All that is left is the rain. Listen to it. Patter, patter, patter. It is no longer a torrent. It is a whisper, a gentle, intimate conversation between the sky and the earth. It is washing the roof. It is washing the windows. It is washing away the day. It is a cleansing sound, rinsing away the noise, the hurry, the bright lights of the world outside. The library is settling down for the night. Can you feel it? The house itself seems to be breathing slower. The floorboards have stopped creaking. The dust motes have settled onto the shelves. The old wood of the desk, the leather of the books, the velvet of the curtains, they are all resting. The book lies on the table beside you. Its leather cover is warm to the touch. It holds the stories of the gold and the painting and the ship and the muddy boots. But they are just stories now. They are memories of memories. They are safe inside the pages. You do not need to carry them. You do not need to remember the names or the dates or the clues. You do not need to solve anything. The puzzle is finished. You can let them go. Let them drift back into the fog of the past. Let them dissolve like sugar in hot tea. Let us attend to the fire. I am standing up from my chair. I am moving slowly, quietly. I am walking to the hearth. I am taking the poker, the heavy iron poker, and I am gently shifting the logs. Clink, shift, hiss. The flames are low now. They are no longer dancing wildly. They are pulsing, a slow, rhythmic glow, red and orange and deep, deep crimson. It is the color of sleep. It is the color of the sun setting behind closed eyelids. Watch the embers. They are like tiny cities glowing in the dark. They are warm. They are constant. They will burn all night, keeping the chill away, keeping you safe. As long as that glow is there, you are protected. You are so deep in your chair now. You have become part of it. The leather holds you. The blanket covers you. It is a heavy wool blanket tucked in around your legs, around your waist. It is a shield against the cold. It is time to let go of the room.
Let go of the walls. You don't need to see them. They will stand strong without you watching them. They are thick stone. They have stood for 100 years, and they will stand for 100 more. Let go of the windows. The curtains are drawn tight. The world is shut out. There is nothing out there for you tonight. Let go of the door. It is locked. It is bolted. The brass lock is solid. Nothing can disturb you. Focus only on yourself. Focus only on the warmth. Your body is heavy. It is a pleasant heaviness, like a stone sinking into soft, warm sand. Your legs are heavy. They are sinking into the chair. Your arms are heavy. Your hands are resting in your lap, fingers loose, palms open. Your head is heavy against the cushion. Your neck muscles are releasing, letting go of the weight of your head. There is a stillness in you, a stillness that matches the room. The day is over. Whatever you did today, whatever you didn't do, it is finished. It is written in the book of the past, and that book is closed. You cannot write in it anymore. Tomorrow is a faraway country. It does not exist yet. It is across an ocean of sleep. You do not need to think about the journey. There is only now. There is only this breath. Breathe in, slowly. Fill your lungs with the warm, wood-scented air. Smell the faint trace of the old books, the beeswax polish, the wood smoke. Breathe out, slowly. Let the air leave your body, taking the last of the tension with it. Breathe in the quiet. Breathe out the noise. Breathe in the peace. Breathe out the worry. You are drifting. You are floating. Imagine that the library is detaching itself from the world. It is no longer in London. It is no longer on a street. It is no longer attached to the earth. It is floating, floating on a dark, calm sea of sleep. The rain is the sound of the waves against the hull. The fire is the sound of the stars burning in the sky. You are the captain of this ship, but you have left the wheel. You have set the course. You have gone below decks. You have laid down to rest. The ship knows the way. The current knows the way. You are safe to sleep. Let the fog roll in. Imagine a soft white mist entering the room. It is not cold. It is warm. It is the mist of dreams. It is the same fog that hid the gold, the same fog that Adam Worth climbed through. But now it is here to comfort you. It rolls across the floor. It covers the rug. It covers the desk. It covers the books. It softens the edges of everything. The sharp corners of the world are disappearing. The hard lines of the furniture are blurring. The mist rises. It covers your feet. It covers your legs. It is a blanket of cloud. It feels like warm steam. It is wrapping you in a cocoon of silence. Let your mind go blank. If a thought comes to you, a worry about tomorrow, a memory of yesterday, just look at it. Don't fight it. Just look at it. Imagine that thought is a leaf, a dry autumn leaf. Imagine you are standing on a bridge
looking down on a slow-moving river. The water is dark and smooth like glass. Drop the leaf. Watch it fall. Flutter, flutter, flutter. Watch it hit the water, a tiny ripple. Watch the river carry it away. It drifts downstream. It spins slowly. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it disappears around the bend. It is gone. Another thought comes. Another leaf. Drop it. Watch it float away.
The river is flowing. The river of sleep. It is deep. It is dark. It is cool. Let yourself step off the bridge. Let yourself float in the river. You are weightless. The water supports you. The current carries you. You don't need to swim. You don't need to steer. Drifting, 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 deeper and deeper. The lights are going out now. Imagine the city of London outside. The gas lamps in the street are flickering out, one by one. Click, darkness. Click, darkness. Click, darkness. The houses are going dark. The windows are closing. The trains have stopped running. The carriages have stopped rolling. The city is asleep. The world is asleep. The fire in the library is just a glow now, a single red eye watching over you. It is fading, fading to a dull, comfortable gray. Your eyelids are too heavy to open. They are sealed with sleep. They are glued shut with relaxation. Your breathing is so slow, so shallow, so rhythmic. In and out, in and out. Feel the sleep entering your toes, warm, tingling sleep. Feel it moving up your feet, into your ankles, up your calves, your knees, your thighs. Your legs are asleep. They are heavy logs. Feel the sleep moving up your spine, vertebra by vertebra, unlocking the knots, smoothing the muscles. Into your shoulders, down your arms, into your fingertips. Your body is asleep. Feel the sleep moving up your neck, into your jaw, into your cheeks, into your forehead. Your mind is asleep. You are safe. You are warm. You are loved. You are asleep. Let the silence take you. Let the rain take you. There are no more words. There are no more stories. There is only the night. Good night. Good night.